Hello, welcome back. It's design day. It's a day where I do some redesigning, some readjusting, some modifying, some remastering, some fixing, whatever you want to call it. Yes, we're going to be dealing with some races. We haven't done that for about 2 weeks now, and today's topic is really kind of robots, warforged, insect creatures, the THRI-KREEN. That is what we're going to be tackling for today. There aren't a lot of resources to pull from for these particular species or races. That makes a lot more difficult, I have to say. But I'm going to hopefully work through any problems that I have and be able to solve them. I'm going to put up a poll. Feel free to take part in that poll. Feel free to dive in and point out anything that I might not have considered. Hello, Shiner81. How's it going? Are we getting closer and closer to the end of at least the first draft of our race development? Anyway, I want to get started. It is a hot day. My windows and doors are open. Grab some food, some drink, make sure you are comfortable, and let's roll into this. Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Weller, and today I want to talk about role-playing games, Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Getting me to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5e is a difficult task, but not impossible. And if somebody says, what about redesigning something? I am like, yes, let's do that. Absolutely. I totally agree. I know Wizards of the Coast is doing the same thing, but my group aren't particularly happy with what they're doing, so a lot of this is coming from my perspective. So fixing, remastering the Warforged and the THRI-KREEN, none of which are available as part of the SRD. They're not Creative Commons, so they are Wizards of the Coast property. So anything I do with this is problematic. Also, the resources to use and look back at what has been done before, there isn't a lot. So I actually have to, this is where I'm going into the blue yonder. Honestly, this is going to be much more difficult. Shiner81, thank you for being here. Big Kid is a moderator and a patron. Thanks for being here. Warforged are dope, but I don't know a lot of DMs that allow them. Well, we're going to be probably renaming them, but for my group. And when I put this out as an official thing, it will not stay as the Warforged because I can't legally do that. You can't stay long, Shiner? No problems. That's fine. You watch the playback. No problems. Derp. Hello, Derp. Derp is a patron also. Thanks for being here. My wife has been playing the THRI-KREEN. Oh, my players have given me very specific instructions on the Warforged and the THRI-KREEN and the things they are not happy with. And they told me just one thing for the Warforged and one thing for the THRI-KREEN, which was interesting. So what are my goals for today? Very quickly, I've said this before, keeping the races really simple. I don't want them to be too complicated. Make sure the races or species have features that are biological rather than inherited because of like culture. And I don't want to drive culture into it because the culture for whatever game you're playing is going to be different, so it doesn't make any sense. So that's what I want to sort of work on, is just the biology as much as possible, the physical structure. I'm not concerned with race balance really. I'm not really terribly concerned about that aspect of it. I just want it to be mechanically the way it should be. And this is going to mean I'm going to have to make a lot of really tough, hard decisions today. Reduce dark vision benefits to about 30 feet or remove them completely. Now that hasn't always been the case because there have been some playable monsters, races, race monsters that are sort of like, they kind of need to have 60 feet of dark vision for them to sort of feel like they're still the monster. If you're going to play a monster, then it kind of has to still feel like that. So yeah, I don't know how the insect and the Warforged are going to work exactly, but I've got an idea for the Warforged. I don't know that we can make it simple for the insect. Okay, the THRI-KREEN is a bit harder. Make sure ability scores. So make sure ability score and adjustments, those things that you get increases in, allow for some choice. I don't really want to have decreases, but if you're going to increase something, I want it to fit the biology of the race or species. Eliminate all of the short and long rest mechanics from a race, because if it's a race biological aspect, why is it something you can only do once and then you have to take a short rest or a long rest, or proficiency bonuses, proficiency a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. I think that's a kind of ridiculous. We're making it too strong. We just tone it down a bit, something that they can just keep using and you don't have to think about it too much. Less things to track. Remove all the bonus actions and reactions from class or should I say from race features, because again, I'm not a fan of the bonus action. I think that everything can be tied and linked into the main action or your movement, and that's it. So that's what I want to try to do. Ensure that my home group likes the changes that I put forward, because if they don't like them, we won't use them in our home group. So I have to make sure that they agree to these changes. This is why when you see this, I'm not really building for a huge audience. I'm building for my group, just as you should be doing the same thing. Make race and species, I want them to make sense. Whatever it is, in terms of me, they've never really made a lot of sense, the things you get for your race or species, and that's really important to me. Okay, that's my general overview, and I've done it much faster, less than 7 minutes. Well done, Fred. Let us get straight into the job, which is to start pulling apart the Warforged. I want to start with the Warforged because that's the first on my list. Dear. So more than likely the Warforged is going to get renamed in my group, for those of you who are wondering. The reason being is that, as I said, it belongs to somebody else. The name Warforged is copyright and it's not part of the SRD. It is not part of Creative Commons, if I remember right, so I can't really retain that. But that's not important. What I will do is whatever changes to the name occur, they won't be happening necessarily today. And if it did, you just call it Warforged. I'm just going to call it Warforged or Mechanoid. We decided that Mechanoid was probably a good substitute, okay, so that we could get it moving. All right, let's get you a screen so you can see what I'm working with here, so you can see everything. And yes, there's a lot to do. I've also got a live stream today. I'm playing Back Me Dungeons and Dragons, for those of you who don't know, with my buddies. Yes, that's right. I'm playing with Wally DM, AJ Pickett. I'm playing with Indostructo Boy, Taryn. I haven't played a game with Taryn before ever. This is the first time. This is the first time Taryn will be playing Back Me Basic D&D. So that'll be interesting. And I'm playing with Wisdom Check Jake, and also with D&D Homebrew, KR King, Kevin. Kevin's going to be with us. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun time, I'm sure. Anyway, Warforged, here we go. Warforged traits, the Warforged character. So I'm just going to put in brackets for now Mechanoid, because my group decided on a replacement name. And Mechanoid was as good as anything. I was going to say we can call it robot, we can call it construct, we can call it automaton, and they decided that Mechanoid was a good replacement name. Your Warforged character has the following traits. A few of the traits give you a choice. Consider how your choice reflects the purpose of which character reflects the purpose for which your character was built. Okay, so I might need to change that. So I'm going to just highlight it for now. The following traits bit is not a problem. I don't know how much choice I'm going to build into it at this present time. It's just about, I guess it's more about right now deciding on the best way to approach this. Okay. And so let's get on with this. So I'm going to do something that you've seen me do this before, and I've become more and more of a fan of writing up my ability score increases this way. There's one that sort of winds up being the general choice. You know, the one that you have to increase by something, whether it be a 1 or a 2, but ultimately there's still plenty of choice available to you. So when determining your character's ability scores, increase one score by 2 and increase a different ability score by 1. Otherwise, you can increase 3 different ability scores by 1. Okay. One of the ability score improvements must be, and it doesn't say that you have to increase it by 1 or 2. You can choose. We're going to make Constitution. If you are kind of like a construct, I feel like Constitution is the standout thing. So we'll put that there. No. Do you know, really? Because you can build a robot or a mechanoid in any way whatsoever. Do you know, you could literally, now I have to question myself. I am actually wondering if that is actually the right way to go. I mean, it seems like it's the right way to go. But then now I'm starting to realize you can build a robot that's light framed, that doesn't have a lot of, durability to it. You could build one that is. Like, so does being essentially a construct, the Warforged, mean that you're always really tough? Or can you, because we're going to rename it Mechanoid anyway, for my home group, so is that really the standout ability score? It could be anything, could it not? I'm going to ask you that question. Okay, what ability score stands out for the Warforged? If any. There we go. Let's ask you that question. I'm going to put a yellow mark on this because I'm actually wondering if that last sentence is even necessary. I would be quite tempted to say it could be anything. Like they should maybe giving. Like I gave humans complete. They could go either way, any way, which way they like, any which way but loose. So maybe this is the right approach for the Warforged. Is there really something that stands out? Or does it just make intrinsic sense to you in your head that if you are constructed, that you're probably made out of materials that are much stronger than flesh? I don't know. You let me know. Okay, let's keep going. Let's do the age thing. And I think I've just been doing it this way, haven't I? It's just age and then drop down. Here we go. Age. A typical Warforged. Alright, so let's go here. Bold. A typical Warforged is between 2 and 3 years old. Okay. The maximum Warforged lifespan remains a mystery. So in other words, there is no limit. So far, Warforged have shown no signs of deterioration due to age. You are immune to magical aging effects. Aging effects. Okay, alright. Let's put it into my language, English. So that's fine. Okay, I'm not supposed to bold these, am I? Okay, so it's just non-bolded. Alright, make sure I get rid of that then. Bolded, but not underlined, sorry. Okay. Alignment. I'm really not terribly interested in what we're doing with alignment. Honestly, alignment for me doesn't mean very much. Like it's a guide, and if you're making a character, your alignment is determined by what your game master is going to allow you to play at the table, right? It's as simple as that, as far as I'm concerned. So alignment for me, in terms of character creation and the species or race, is really not important. Most Warforged take comfort in order and discipline, tending towards law and neutrality. But some have absorbed the morality or lack thereof of the beings with which they served. Okay, so this is probably one of the things that I don't want to do. I don't want to set up Warforged as something, because Warforged are, they're part of Eberron. Like the Warforged are Eberron. But if I was to use something like this and it's not an Eberron, then it's going to look a lot different. So I actually don't want them to be set up as being in servitude to something else. They might have been constructed, okay, but not necessarily as a servant. Most Warforged take comfort in order and discipline, tending toward law and neutrality, but some have absorbed the morality. Okay. But some have absorbed their morality or the morality of other beings. And I'm getting rid of the served thing. Okay, that's it. They might have their own morality, just like any other living creature that they picked up from somebody else. Because we pick up our morality from other people who are other sentient creatures, right? So why would a Warforged be any different, or a mechanoid of some kind? So I don't think that's a big issue. So let's do that. your size is medium. To set your height and weight randomly, start by... Nah, I'm not even going to worry about that. That's just another level of complexity that I don't think is necessary. So let's just make this nice and simple. Your size is medium. You set... you... select what your height and weight will be, as this can vary widely. That's it. That's all I need. I don't really want all this calculation nonsense. It's a calculation that was unnecessary the first time I saw it. And when I saw it again and I was like, oh, I've got to deal with that, I was like, that's going. Sorry. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Don't need that. Thank you very much. Is it really going to add very much to the game? Is knowing my exact height by using a formula going to add to the game in some way that I actually think is worthwhile adding? Or is adding a formula for calculating weight going to really add something to the game? I'm sure it works for some people. My group is full of nerds, okay? Power gamers galore, nerds, and even they would not particularly care for it. So I I know my home group fairly well. Okay, your base walking speed is 30 feet. Again, I don't think we need to play with that too much as well. I'm getting rid of the hat. The hat is going. Construct resilience. You were created to have remarkable fortitude, represented by the following benefits. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that robot thing's coming in. I see nobody's kind of commented on, what is the ability score that stands out for a Warforged or a mechanoid of some kind. I suspect everybody is busy doing other things while I talk and type and delete. I'm doing a lot of deleting. A little bit of adding, but mostly deleting. I've decided that I'm going to tackle the theory as well, because I know that one of the things I've discovered is I made a video on the theory race, and a lot of people watched it. So I get a distinct feeling that there is a portion of our community that really like playing theories. And I have dealt with theories in our party before, and I know that there are problems with it, but I probably will still do it. The problem is, if I do that, my home group will play all theories one day. It's just going to happen. Constructed resilience. You are created to have remarkable fortitude represented by the following benefits. So, you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, and you have resistance to poison damage. Okay, you don't need to eat, drink, or air. You are immune to disease. You don't need to sleep, and magic can't put you to sleep. Centuries rest. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. I'm not sure that I need to really change that much. Is there anything really important about it? Why are we saying... I'm kind of questioning... You are immune to disease. Fine, I understand that. Makes sense. What I'm kind of wondering, though, is you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned. Whereas I kind of feel like it would make more sense that you have advantage on on Constitution saving throws. The reason being Constitution, because I guess that's what we're dealing with. Like, apparently your Constitution as a robot is going to be better. The poison thing is fine. I'm not saying it shouldn't be there. I'm just thinking maybe it need to be a little bit slightly expanded to include that, to make it seem like it makes sense. You have advantage on yeah, I think maybe that's what needs to be there. I've seen that. I was like, okay, so you got Constitution saving throws for you got saving throws for poison, but not Constitution saving throws. And I think it was Cajun who's brought this up before and questioned it, and we had a bit of a laugh. Constitution saving throws. You have advantage on Constitution saving throws, or Saving throws, saving throws to resist poison. Okay. And we're going to make this a separate sentence. I'm going to separate this and just say you have resistance to poison damage. Okay, that's fine. So eating, drinking, breathing, don't need to worry about that. The Sentry's Rest ability. When you take a long rest, you must spend at least 6 hours in an active, motionless state rather than sleeping. In this state, you appear inert, but it doesn't render you unconscious. You can see and hear as normal. This is going to be slightly problematic. I can see that now. Because it begs the question about, like, are you able to take a Sentry's Rest? Does that mean you can take sentry duty for 6 hours and you'd still be able to hear and see? That's essentially what it is. Like, is that actually spelled out sufficiently for people to be able to figure that out? It's a good question. I'm thinking. Let me think for a second. Well, okay, let's go. Let's bring that down. When you take a long rest, you must spend at least 6 hours in an inactive, motionless state rather than sleeping. In this state, you appear inert, but it doesn't render you unconscious. You can see and hear as normal. Okay. Warforged get a lot. When you're unconscious and you can sense it as normal. Do I need to spell it out? I'm getting the distinct feeling that maybe I do. See and hear as normal. Okay, so you can spend 6 hours on sentry duty during a long rest. Provided you don't move or do anything. Is that sentence really needed? That's the question. Enhanced armor, integrated protection. Don't only armor with which you are proficient. Okay, so that's interesting. Right, what do you got here, Shrine 81? To me, strength stands out because mechanical devices don't have a gradual fatigue like biological muscles do. Interesting. Well, that's good. Okay, so that's a different take on it. You've kind of you're steering away from constitution towards strength. I really would be interested in what people are thinking in terms of that. My instincts tell me that it's not one of those things that we need to be sort of hard and fast about, but I don't know. I'm not completely convinced about that one. Okay, integrated protection. Your body. How many different things are going on with this Warforged? There's a lot, isn't it, in there? Or is it just my imagination? No, there's the constructed resilience, and there's a lot of things covered underneath that, obviously. Almost feel like Sentry's Rest could be separated in some way. But anyway, let's have a look. What else have we got here? Oh no. Okay, so I'd assumed that the Warforged had like a bucket load of different things that they get. And that's not true. Okay, alright. +1 bonus to armor class. You get a +1 bonus to armor class. Okay, alright. So we're trying to represent their hardiness with the armor class bonus, which means we don't necessarily need to do that with the constitution sort of side of things. And we do have advantage on Constitution saving throws. So that's kind of covering that base already for a construct like the Warforged. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's take this. Drop this down. Armor. It's going to have to be spelt the way that I spell it in my own country. So we're going to have to do a quick spell checky. I know it's an American game, but this is spelling everything the American way. North Americans' spelling is not how the rest of the world does it, and it's really been messing me up badly at home. So I now have to do everything, all the spelling in my own way. Now this is there's a lot to pull apart here with this integrated protection thing. So I'm going to do languages first, because almost immediately I'll say right now, I don't think it matters what language you have. You can speak, read, and write common and one. Does it have to be common? And write 2 languages. That's it. I don't have to write anything else. I don't have to explain it. You're a construct of some kind. It could be anything. You can speak, read, and write 2 languages of your choice. And if you don't pick common or whatever the universal language is in the world that you are on, that's your problem. Honestly, like, you made that choice, not me. Okay, you gain a +1 bonus to armor class. Okay, so I'm fine with that. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, what did my players say that needed to change with the Warforged? They said that I needed to include some way for the Warforged hands and fingers to reveal a tool that could be used. What they wanted is the Warforged or Mechanoid to be able to have a tool proficiency and the tool built into their body. You know, so you literally can have something pop out. I missed one. No, I haven't missed one. Have I missed one? What have I missed on this? I haven't missed this. I am working on this now. Tell me what I've missed for the Warforged. We've got here the ability score increases, age, alignment, size, speed, constructed resilience, integrated protection, languages, and we're going to have, I think I'm going to call it gadget. For those of you who are wondering what the heck I'm talking about, I think I'm going to call it gadget. What am I missing? Triple H, what have I missed for the Warforged? Did I not copy down everything that I needed to sort of work on? I don't remember. Here we go, gadget. This was the top request in my group. So I'm going to just put question marks and I'm going to write this up in a second. I don't think you should specify even a number of languages because you want to stick to strictly biological traits. Yes, I don't see how the biology would prevent from. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Dirt. I totally agree. The only reason I have kind of gone with this part, because you're right. How many languages you know and what languages you know is not related to your species or race. It really isn't. It's related to your environmental makeup, right? But I guess you're a construct, so there is the potential to you might know more. And frankly, 2 languages, I wouldn't say that a mechanoid or a warforged would be restricted like the biological entity, because surely they can be programmed with more than 1 language, unless everything they learn has to be through their environment. So I totally agree. The only reason I'm not doing it is I don't want to go back to, a number of languages equal to 1 plus your intelligence modifier. That's the only reason I didn't want to do anything. This is one time where I might say we could do that. You could say, well, with the Warforged, a number of languages, 1 plus your intelligence modifier. That would probably, but I didn't want to do that blanket right across all of them. It's just a matter of simplicity. It's like, where do you put the languages? A lot of the time, I would be tempted to take languages out of races and to put them into backgrounds. So the background, when you select your background, instead of, you know, picking up your languages through your race, it's in your background. I haven't done that dirt because I kind of had planned to do that anyway. Specifically too because of skills. I wanted to push them somewhere else. And languages is one of those things where it doesn't really sort of necessarily need to be related to your species or race. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. I'm just not doing that today. But I can guarantee you, when you see the final version, languages is probably going to be sitting in the background. Okay, let's do this integrated protection thing. You can don only armor which you are proficient. To don armor other than a shield, you must incorporate it into your body over the course of 1 hour, during which you remain in contact with the armor. To doff armor, you must spend 1 hour removing it. Oh my gosh. You can rest while donning or doffing armor in this way. While you live, the armor incorporated into your body can't be removed against your will. Specialized design. You gain 1 skill proficiency and 1 tool proficiency. So this is where I am taking this out. That's what Triple H was saying, and I'd missed one. Specialized design. So specialized design is probably going to be the gadget thing. And that's where the tool proficiency is. The tool proficiency, but the actual tool as well. I want to include the tool, not just the tool proficiency. The skills side of things, again, I'm not really so sure that that's absolutely necessary. This is one time where, like, if you're a mechanoid, it kind of makes sense that you probably have something like that. But I would be tempted to take away the skill proficiency and do something else there. I just haven't decided what it would be. Okay, so this is okay, so let's do that. Yeah, I'm gonna just bullet point this, and I'm actually gonna highlight it. I feel like this is just way too complicated for me. I mean, this obviously gives you the ability to change out armor and put on a different type of armor. So you're basically incorporating the armor into your body in some way. You're not really putting armor on as such, and it's not a quick process. But I really feel like this whole thing, I mean, +1 bonus to armor class is fine. All the rest is really clunky. It's really, really clunky. So I'm not a huge fan of this bit of it, and I know my group won't be very happy about it either. So, so let's do this. Let's do this bit here. I'll come back to that. I want to just keep moving because I've been at this for what, half an hour. I'm trying to keep this under an hour if I can. Okay, so you go, no, I need to actually describe this because my group keeps getting upset that there's not enough flavor and abilities. So I need to sort of stipulate what's going on here. So your mechanoid, your mechanical brain is able to learn more languages faster than other species. And I'm just going to set it up. I'm just going to set it up that way. And I don't think this is overly powerful, if you ask me. This is actually now that I think about it, this is one time where the language makes sense that it could stay with the race, whereas it wouldn't necessarily with other things. I'm going to put here 4. I'm going to put four languages of your choice. Not 2, 4. I know it's not on par with every other thing, but, you know, if they know a few more languages, maybe they can actually talk to somebody. Okay, so now let's do this bit here. The mechanical arms and fingers of your body can be opened up to reveal different types of tools. Tools that you can use. Okay, that's what I want to do. Okay, so we're going to give them a tool proficiency, but we're also going to give them the actual tool as well that's built into their body. So you get to choose something. Isn't that fun? Cool. And the skill proficiency, I'm going to ditch. Okay, so the problem for me, generally I feel like skill proficiencies are superpowers, things that should be more attached to a class rather than to a species or race choice or to a background. Even a background, you know, I feel like tool proficiencies are better in a background. You're not a superhero yet. The only skill that I can think of that maybe that's probably not the case, and that is perception. And I think that's probably one time where perception could be sort of related to your actual biological race or species. Anyway, let's get rid of this bit. So you gain one tool proficiency of your choice, and the tools are built into your body. Yeah, that'll do. Does that make sense? This is what my players had requested that I do, so there it is. Okay, so now that we've done most of that, I need to go through and just check. I'm still not 100% convinced on the constitution thing or even the strength thing. Constitution or strength. We've done this before where we've given you a choice. One of the ability score improvements must be constitution or strength. I can live with that. Construct is either probably really strong or it's really resilient. Constitution or strength. We can make it a choice. Or not a choice. No, I think that's fine. I mean, that we always sort of assume that when you think of a robot, really that's what we're dealing with here. Robots are either tough or they're really strong. So let's just give the players the opportunity to decide which way they want to go. It doesn't have to be, I mean, they might wind up putting their increases into constitution strength anyway, both of them. Like, you know, one into constitution, one into strength, and heck, one into something else if they decide to spread it across 3 different ability scores. So yeah, that works for me. Let's do that. I think that works fine. As my buddy here could be intelligence too. That's true. Wally, let's just do that. I was talking about trying to make ability score increases flexible. We've got a lot of flexibility, but this even gives you so you can have essentially a robot that is a particular way. Like let's do that. Let's go there. We can have 2, we can have 3. Constitution. One of the ability score improvements must be in constitution, intelligence, or strength. There. Hello, Wally. How are you? Hopefully you're not working too hard. I'm sure you are. I'm looking forward to the game today. And I have a whole bunch of stuff to tell you after that if you've still got any energy left. Because, I've been working really hard. So has everybody on my channel. I've been doing a lot of hard work getting stuff done. So I'm kind of fairly happy with that. Let's do a look at this and see if I've done anything stupid that I need to reconsider. So I brought this book. I don't believe the Warforged is in this book. I believe that it is just the THRI-KREEN, which is basically the insect playable race. Yeah, THRI-KREEN is in here. Auto-gnome. Auto-gnome is like a construct, isn't it? Let's have a look at the auto-gnome. What do they do with the auto-gnome? Auto-gnome is 11. Page 11 of this book. What do? They gave them armored casing. You are encased in thin metal or some other durable material. While you aren't wearing armor, your base armor class is 13 plus your dexterity modifier. So they basically gave them mage armor, didn't they? I have plenty of energy, laugh out loud. Yep, at home now, setting up OBS. Oh, good. Do I have to tell you what character I'm playing out of the ones that you sent us, or is that not really important? You let me know. If I need to make a decision, then I'll make sure I get the information to you fairly quickly, because I know you've got to set stuff up. So that's interesting. We could do that, but yeah. Built for success. So adding a D4 to one attack roll, ability score, saving throw. I don't think that's necessary. I think that's unnecessary. Healing machine. If the mending spell is cast on you, you can spend one hit die, roll it, and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your constitution modifier. In addition, your creator designed you to benefit from several spells. Okay, so they've tried to get around that. Is that a problem we need to consider? Because normally something like healing spells, magic healing spells don't affect constructs, and you are essentially a construct, aren't you? You are essentially a construct, and we don't actually have that down as creature type. And maybe that is going to cause a whole bunch of problems for us. You late again? Look, I've come to the assumption that you guys get here when you get here, and that's life. You show up to so many, Fred. You don't have to worry about that sort of stuff. You are a construct. You are a construct. Okay. And I'm going to put this in bold, and then I'm going to highlight this. No, I'm going to put a note in here. Something I need to consider. Healing magic. Healing magic. How does the construct regain hit points? Because we need to consider that, don't we? And not quite often we leave that out. So, given the game of Dungeons and Dragons 5e, right now, if you spend a short rest, you can regain hit points that way. Okay? So, in other words, your hit point loss is not really damage. It's like fatigue or luck or whatever. So it's not really working like that, because it's not. I mean, unless you're self-repairing. If you take a long rest, you would get all your hit points. So you are kind of self-repairing. So you are a construct with a self-repairing function that works during a short or long rest. Okay, you are a construct with a self-repair function that works during a short or long rest. Okay, yes, would be, yeah. So I think maybe that's what we need to do here, is like let's add in another line. Let's add in a feature. Let's deal with this bit, because this is always a problem, right? We can have this, you are a construct. So let's leave that there. And let's build in healing machine. We'll take some of the stuff from the auto gnome. We'll use that. We might change it a little bit. But I think that's going to be necessary to alleviate confusion. Let's get real. It's going to happen. There's going to be questions around it. So let's just deal with it. Okay. And I don't really want to set myself up for big arguments with somebody. I can't count the number of times my group has said, why is the mending spell not the spell you could use to heal yourself in some way? It's like, why can't you use that? And I guess the question is always down to, yes, but, you know, you could just spam the mending spell and you're all good. And I totally get that, but I think maybe the healing machine. Healing machine, self-repair. Let's call it self-repair. I think that's going to be better. Self-repair. It seems the mending spell would be yes. It's made of metal, so heat metal is a real what? What is that? What is that? What are you trying to say here, Fred? Fred Huber is a patron, by the way. Thank you for being here, buddy. So heat metal is a real problem for them, though I imagine the damage would be less. Yeah, more than likely. I think if you're heating metal, considering you're heating metal and heating flesh is going to be a little bit more. Yeah, it's going to be different. So self-repair. So as a construct, you don't benefit from normal healing spells. Nice one. So it's a good thing we're dealing with this, because this is definitely something my group would come up. I know Simon would be mentioning it almost immediately. Fred, what have you done with the mending spell? Because it would make sense that this is the thing you can use to actually do it. And okay, all right. And then he's gonna probably have memorized. No, it'll be John. John will then come up and say, the auto gnome has this healing machine ability. Why didn't you include that? I know them too well. It's going to happen. I know it. So let's have a look at healing machine. Is it written in a way that actually is easy to adjudicate? In addition, your created design. So this is healing machine. This is out of this book here. You gain a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your constitution modifier, minimum of 1d 1 hit point. In addition, your creator designed you to benefit from several spells that preserve life, but that normally don't affect constructs. Cure wounds, healing word, mass cure wounds. Yeah, spare the dying. I think I don't want to include that. If you're going to play as construct, let's play a construct. Those spells are magical, so there's nothing saying that magic shouldn't be able to affect you. But I think that you get a lot of benefits being a construct. So let's build in some things that sort of still sit within you are a robot essentially. And the mending spell is probably a good way to do that. And if the mending spell is cast on you, you can spend 1 hit die, roll it, and regain a number of hit points equal to your roll plus your constitution modifier, minimum of 1 hit point. I think that is probably the best way to look at it. So the self-repair function works during a short or long rest. So in other words, you could use a short rest to regain and self-repair, or your long rest, you get all your hit points back, just like anybody else. But we need to have, I think we need to have that mending spell integrated into there as well. I think that's probably the best way to sort of write it. I don't want to include the second paragraph of healing machine because I think that's not necessary. So let me pull up auto gnome and we'll just do a bit of a cut and paste for now. Let's just speed things up a little bit. Sorry, people. Yes, I know I'm on D&D Beyond. Yes, you can flog me. I am totally aware that I said I would not come back here, but I've kind of had to occasionally, just to speed the process up. If you're wondering why I have access to just about everything here, it's because of one of the subscribers. He purchases everything. He doesn't want me to tell you who he is, which is fine, but yeah, there are some benefits to this because it means that I don't have to try to lifespan, weight, healing machine. Here we go. Let's take this thing. This one paragraph, this one sentence is probably all I want. The other one, not really. And here, if the mending spell is cast on you, you can spend a hit die, roll it, and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your Constitution modifier, minimum of number of. So in other words, you will have limit. So you can't spam. You can't spam the mending spell indefinitely. You will eventually run out of hit die. So there's a pretty hard limit on it, and I think that's the best way to deal with self-repairing as a construct. Okay, what else do we have here that I might have missed that I need to consider including as a mechanoid of some kind? Mechanical nature. You have resistance to poison damage and immunity to disease. Okay, we've got that already. You have advantage on saving throws against being paralyzed or poisoned. And you don't need to drink. Okay, so they include paralyzed. Why do they include paralyzed? I'm not sure. Sentry's rest. When you take a long rest, at least hours, motions instead of you start period conscious. That's the same thing. So specialized design, you gain 2 tool proficiencies of your choice. 2 tool proficiencies. I've given you the tool and the tool proficiency. Would I feel bad if I gave you access to 2 tools? One on the left and one on the right? Doesn't mean have a think about that. Would I think that would be overpowered to give you access to 2 tools, not just the proficiency, but the actual tool, one that you could reveal on the left and one that you could reveal on the right? You're kind of going Inspector Gadget side, so fingers, hand, turn into the tool you need, and you've got the various things on. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Specialized design. You gain 2 tool proficiencies of your choice, and okay, all right. Let's just check this. I'm tempted to do that. I'm not against that at all. The reason being that is it's mundane stuff, and it's kind of fitting. Shy X. I think it is a great idea, Shy X. I actually think that it's probably where we need to go. Built in and the 2 tool proficiencies. Not skill, but tool. Because you're a robot, aren't you? And let's get real. If you're playing a robot, you probably want to go Inspector Gadget. That route. In many cases. So let's... Oh... It would even be fun to be what if I built in what if we built in a weapon? What if we built in a weapon? 2 tool proficiencies or a weapon. But you can hold a weapon anyway. So it's not that cool. It's not as cool as having 2 weapon things. Expertise and 2 tools. No, I don't know about 2. I think just proficiency. I've never been a fan 2 installments, tool installment slots. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you have to pick them and then they don't change. That's it. And I think the 2 tool thing is... I really like the idea a lot myself. And if you guys are thinking that way too, it sort of compound... I mean, this is where my players were going in the first place. But I didn't say that they were going to get 2. But I think we should. Because you could have thieves' tools built in, and then any kind of artisan tool built in. So that would be fun. Let's do that. Let's do that. 2. You gain 2 tool proficiencies of your choice, and 2 tool kits are built into your body. 1 on the left side and 1 on the right side. Okay. Let's lock that down. Let's say that's cool. All right, now I'm much happier with that. That's working fine with me. I have given them a little bit more than they had before, if it was not obvious. So yes, this is very interesting. I didn't really realize this was going to go this way, but you never know when you're doing these things. And then the auto gnome doesn't really have anything after that, so let's just move that out of the way. Now you would think that something like the Warforged would be in Monsters of the Multiverse, but I believe Monsters of the Multiverse does not acknowledge Eberron, because I don't think Eberron is necessarily supposed to be connected in any way. So there is no Warforged mechanoid thing going on here. So we're going to put that aside. We do have Eberron, so they did print this Eberron, and the Warforged is in this book. So let's have a look at this. I don't have any books that have earlier versions of the Warforged and how you could play them as a race in my library. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be calling on that stuff, but we'll call and look on this here. 35. I think it's exactly the same. Let's just check to see if it's changed anyway. And then we'll get on to the insect THRI-KREEN. Here we go. Warforged. What do you get? Now the quirks things, we're going to move past that. Names, ability scores. So you increase, yeah, that's pretty much the same as before. That's the same, that's the same, that's the same. That's the same. That's the same. Integrated protection, specialized design, languages. So there's nothing else going on there. I think we're done. I think that's the Warforged. That'll do. And we haven't had to give them dark vision, which I'm quite happy about. A few of the traits give you a choice. Consider how your choice reflects the purpose for which your character was built. I suppose you could say that. A few of the traits give you a choice. Consider how your choice reflects. Does that even have to be there? Again, it sort of suggests that you're a servitude. You were constructed by somebody else for a purpose. A few of the traits give you a choice. Consider how your choice reflects a purpose for which your character was built, or the variety of different constructs in the world. There we go. That'll do. I'm a lot happier with that. Let's just do that. Let's grab this. I'm still not super happy on integrated protection. I would like it to be a lot simpler than that, but it's not. Half of normal time is needed when learning. Half of normal time. What have you got here, Fred? Half of normal time is needed when learning new languages. That takes it from 40 days to 120 days. The problem is hardly anybody ever does that. No, I'm going to do THRI-KREEN right now. I haven't decided what the final version of integrated protection will be. THRI-KREEN, I'm doing it right this very second. Okay? So if you're wondering, am I going to get it done? Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to do it now. I have every intentions of doing it. So the one thing my players had told me with the THRI-KREEN that I needed to make sure I do, I'm just going to change this into my own language, thank you very much, and that is I need to figure out what's going on with the arms, like how many arms and what you can do with the arms. And I totally get it. It is something that tends to come up. Yes, I have plasmoid on the list, by the way. Okay, so this is THRI-KREEN. Now we can't call it THRI-KREEN because again, it's Wizards of the Coast. So we've decided to go with insectoid. Insectoid. I think insectoid. Everybody was reasonably happy with insectoid, so I'll probably be changing out the name for insectoid. Okay, as a THRI-KREEN player character, you have the following traits, and we haven't got anything for the ability score yet, so we probably need to deal with that, and I will. And insects vary so dramatically. Like, I just don't know that there is an insect that you could say has a specific ability score increase. There's nothing here talking about that sort of thing here, by the way. If you're wondering, like, no, there's nothing there. But I'm wondering if we need to do that again. Is it really something that is important enough that we actually lock it down to a particular ability score? Again, I'm not convinced that that's necessary. Let me just do an update on the chat here. I might just take a quick break, actually, just to go use the toilet for 5 minutes, come back, and I will pose this question first. Let's pose this question first. What ability score stands out for the oh, come on. THRI-KREEN. No. Yeah, keen. Come on. THRI-KREEN. Okay. Bracket if any. So that is the question I'm going to put forward. People say strength for an insect. Well, Shy is saying it is. Okay, interesting. All right, you guys think about that. I will go and Arnold was going to look after you for about 5 minutes or less. I'm going to go use the toilet, have a think, and then it's THRI-KREEN time. I'm stepping back in. Let's have a look here. Okay. Righto. Here we go. We're here again. Hello, everybody. How are you? Okay. So we're dealing with THRI-KREEN, different things that we're going to do with that, how it's going to look. Right now, I was asking the question, is there a particular ability score increase that should be related to an insect-like creature like the THRI-KREEN? Shay has said strength. Yeah, possibly. So, creature type, you are a monstrosity, which is fine with me. I think that's fine. We've got a classification of monstrosity. I'm going to put here, highlight this. I'm going to highlight this whole sentence. Is it really that important? I think maybe we can actually make that a lot more open. There are plenty of insects that are tough or strong, but others that aren't, like, you know. So, I almost feel like it's the sort of, what sort of insectoid are you really? Okay, anyway, let's do this. Size you are, so you can choose what size you are. I actually am fine with that. Let's do that. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. You are medium or small. You choose the size when you select this race. So that's that bit. Speed, you're 30 feet, I guess. Yeah. We're not going to give you wings, so you're not flying. You're not a flying insect. You're a walking insect. And then chameleon carapace. While you aren't wearing armor, your carapace gives you a base armor class of 13 plus your dex modifier. And this is almost like a standard thing, right? It's almost a standard thing with regard to what's going on. You almost always see something like this. It's not a bad way to deal with it. Like, okay, if you aren't wearing armor, your carapace gives you a base armor class of 30. So that means you can wear armor over the top of your normal armor, which is going to be 13 plus your dex modifier. Plus your dex. You know, this is one of those times. This is one of those times where I actually feel like it could be dexterity or it could be constitution. Do you know what I mean? Whichever is higher. I think it could be, you could say there's an argument to be had that the armor class is about being hit. And that being hit is about how quick you are. But really, armor class is an abstraction in Dungeons and Dragons. Even in 5e, it's still an abstraction, even though most people have very little understanding of where it comes from and how it works and what it means conceptually. But there's a lot to be said for your ability to strike a target, which is striking armor class, is very much about it's very much about hitting the target, yes, but hitting it with enough force that you would do damage. In other words, lose hit points. Damage doesn't mean wounding. It means a lot of different things. So I'm inclined to think you could go with either dex or with constitution and it wouldn't matter. Is that going to make their armor class significantly better than somebody else's? Ultimately, I don't think so, because you're still probably going to find that wearing armor is going to be better for you than not wearing armor. Tharko, yeah. To hit armor class, yeah, to hit armor class 0. That's what you're really saying. I know what you're saying. So this is really, I'm not going to bring Tharko back, but so here we go. Let's go with this, with a base armor class of 13 plus your dex or constitution modifier, whichever is higher. Base armor class of 13 plus your dexterity or constitution modifier, whichever is higher. Now, you might be saying, Fred, you've just made the THRI-KREEN significantly better than it was before. Have you noticed that I kind of done that with everything? You know, I mean, I've taken a lot of stuff away, for sure, but I often do this sort of thing. Yeah, for a sneaky bug, but if you're having a tough, not so sneaky bug, which you might be building, this is what you might be trying to do, is build a bug that is not so sneaky, then this is kind of where it would go. Like you go more constitution. You'd be more like the barbarian. Do you know what I mean? It's using the equation for the barbarian. So dexterity, constitution can go either way. It gives good ace armor class competitive with armor. Yeah. Okay, so as an action, you can change the color of your carpus to match the color and texture of your surroundings, giving you an advantage on dexterity, stealth checks made to hide in those surroundings. This feature being an action is almost suggests that you can use it in combat, and hiding in combat is mechanically in 5e is just a giant nonsense as far as I'm concerned. Do I need to change it? It's not a bonus action, it's an action to do it. I'm not really so sure that it even needs to be an action. Your ability to change color, is that something that is really going to require your entire action to do? I mean, seriously, let's think about this. Is it something that a creature could not do instinctually as part of their physiology? Does it have to be a full-blown action to do so? Because it's not like they can go and hide in the middle of combat with a dexterity check. What it would mean is, if you were going to do something like this is what it would look like. You would have to use an action. You would use an action to change your carpus. So you can't attack, you can't cast a spell, you can't significantly contribute in the battle. If we're going to say that this is going to be a battle feature of the chameleon carpus. So you're not going to be able to do that in the first round. In the second round, you then have to move and then hide as an action, since it's not going to be a bonus action for you. So that has been 2 rounds that you've done nothing to contribute to the party. On the third round, you're going to get advantage as long as you stay in the cover and you are hidden and nothing knows you're there. You get to get advantage on your first attack. By the third round, the battle is almost won. So if this is actually going to be something that you can do fast, screw it. As a free action, you can change as a free action, you can change the color of your carpus to match the color and texture of your surroundings, giving you advantage on dexterity, stealth checks made to hide in those surroundings. You would still have to do that on one of those rounds, but that's eliminated at least one round where you're fiddling around trying to get to a position where you can do that, unless, of course, you've already changed your appearance. No. Let's do it this way. I think this is going to make much more sense. The Warforged with the Dryad spirit made from her tree. Hello, Pale Rider. How you doing? Hide in combat when there is 15 or more combatants. Hiding in combat has always been a nonsense. This is why I think the rogue's requirement to hide in combat to get advantage is a complete it's bollocks. It really is quite silly. Dark vision. I am not fond of dark vision on the THRI-KREEN, people. I'm not even going to put down dark vision here. I don't even want to change it to 30 feet, really. I feel like insects' ability to see is so different to all the other species that it can't look like that. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to come back to that, because I'm going to butcher the snot out of that one for sure. Okay. Next, secondary arm. You have 2 slightly smaller secondary arms below your primary pair of arms. The secondary arms can manipulate an object, open or close a door or container, pick up or set down a tiny object, wield a weapon, that has the light property. So this is the biggest problem. This is the thing that my players were trying to get me to sort of solve. How do I solve this? And I am not sure. I'm going to have to come back to that as well. I'm skipping past a lot of this stuff just to make life easy for myself. Yes, I know. All right, I will get back to it, but I'm not ready. I know what to do with dark vision. I've got a little bit of an idea. Sleepless. You do not require sleep and can remain conscious during a long rest, though you must still refrain from strenuous activity to gain the benefit of the rest. And really, that's kind of like the WARFORGED thing. It's just worded differently. So, do insects sleep? Interesting concept. Do insects sleep? Maybe they don't. Yeah, this is where my head was going, Derp. You're right on the track that I was thinking about in the first place. Yes, they do sleep. Short answer is yes, insects sleep. Like all animals with a central nervous system, their body requires time to rest and restore. But not all bugs sleep the same. Okay, the insect's circadian rhythm or regular cycle of wake and asleep changes based on what it needs to eat. Okay, so this isn't going to help us get there. And even if I start looking at various renditions of the sleep bit, it's probably not going to work. It's not something honestly, the sleep ability of the THRI-KREEN is not really something I'm terribly worried about. It really isn't. And THRI-KREEN telepathy, I'm just going to just call it telepathy. I don't even know that. Why do we have to call it THRI-KREEN telepathy? Let's just go here. Without the assistance of magic, you can speak the non-THRI-KREEN languages you know. Okay. Without the assistance of magic, you can't speak the non-THRI-KREEN languages you know. Instead, you use telepathy to convey your thoughts. Well. You have the ability, the magical ability to transmit your thoughts mentally to willing creatures. So, I'm even wondering if we need to have this. Magic, you can't speak the non-THRI-KREEN languages you know. Okay. You have the magical ability to transmit your thoughts mentally to willing creatures within 120 feet of you. A contacted creature doesn't need to share a language with you to understand your thoughts, but it must be able to understand at least one language. Okay, so you can do that, but it has to be of a certain... So you're not going to be able to do this with a beast or an animal. Your telepathic link to a creature is broken if you and the creature move more than 120 feet apart, if neither of you is incapacitated or either of you mentally breaks the contact. No action required. There's not really much required to do with this. That's really it. I don't know that there's any kind of rewrite required on that at all, if you ask me. If somebody sees a hole in it, please let me know. I really think the biggest issues are its vision, its secondary arms, and the sleep stuff. That for me are the things that really sort of stand out as being potentially a bit of a headache. We can, of course, just say this insectoid is unlike other animals and doesn't require sleep. How long does do insects sleep? Well, that's a good question. It only makes sense that insects are equally impacted by their sleep habits. So queen fire ants live longer than worker fire ants and receive twice as much sleep. The queen enjoys about 9 hours of sleep each day, while the workers settle for hundreds of short naps that add up to at least 5 hours per day. Interesting. So why do they go with you don't need to sleep with a THRI-KREEN? Is it part of the THRI-KREEN lore? Is it part of the THRI-KREEN lore? Is that what's going on there? Because for me, I don't even think that they need to have that. Which insects do not sleep? Which insects do not sleep? Ant. An ant is an insect that never sleeps and works all the time. Is the THRI-KREEN based off the ant? It kind of is, isn't it? That's why it is. That's why they've done that. Oh, now I understand this a bit more. THRI-KREEN, sleep, ant. That's what it is. THRI-KREEN. It's basically an ant. That's why it is. They're basing it off the ant. It's an insect. A lot of insects do in fact sleep, but that particular ant tends to not. Well, it's saying it isn't. I mean, Google is Google, right? You're not going to get absolute answers from that. Feel pain. But they're also indicating that, that there are the queen. So fire ants. And then, of course, you've got the workers taking short naps, which is supposed to... Is this supposed to represent they don't really need to sleep? That's a good question. You do not require sleep and can remain conscious during a long rest, though you must still refrain from strenuous activity to gain the benefit of the rest. So I see what they're trying to do there. I don't know that... honestly, I don't think that even matters. Praying mantis... I think the pronoun might be... you reckon it's based more off the praying mantis? Well, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Does the praying mantis sleep? Let's have a look. Insects that sleep. Do you how do you keep a praying mantis happy? How do praying mantises stay still for so long? Okay. Do praying mantises sleep? Is this going to give me a real legitimate answer? Do praying mantises know when to stop eating? Do they need light at night? Do not need a light source, establish a daylight cycle. While praying mantises don't require UVB light like reptiles, they do need light source to establish a day-night cycle. That's really not what we're asking for, though. Sleep, let's have a look here. Praying mantises are known for their unique characteristics, including carnivorous habit and ability to turn their head 180 degrees. They can also see 360 degrees. One question that many people have, it's fascinating creatures, is whether they sleep or not. It may seem like a simple question, but the answer is more complicated than you might think. Oh, here we go. In this article, we'll explore the world of praying mantises, behavior and science. Okay, so this is not going to be very easy to answer by the looks of it. There is a lot going on here. Feeding habits. Let's deal with this. Before we delve into the specifics of praying mantis sleeping pattern, well, that's not what we want to do. I want to just get to that bit. Is it here? Defining sleep in insects. Sleeping patterns in different species. No, we just want it for the praying mantis. Praying mantis sleep patterns. So do praying mantises sleep? The answer is yes, sort of. While we can't say for certain the praying mantis experiences sleep in the same way that mammals do, they do exhibit behavior that are consistent with sleep. Identifying sleep in praying mantises. Okay, here we go. One of the most telling signs that a praying mantis might sleep is their regularity, low level of activity during the night. While they are still capable of moving and hunting during the night, they are much less active. This is why they've struck it. Now I see what they've done here. So basically inactivity, that is their sleep, but they are still conscious. Additionally, praying mantises may exhibit changes in posture and position that are consistent with sleep, such as tucking their heads under their thorax and folding their arms beneath them. Duration and frequency of sleep. It is difficult to determine exactly how much sleep praying mantises require, as this can vary depending on individual factors such as age and sex. However, studies have shown that praying mantises might spend up to 80% of their time and relative... Oh, so it's quite a lot of their time. 80% would be more than 8 hours. So they've gone with a... This is probably why they've designed it that way. This is probably why sleep looks like this. You do not require sleep and can remain conscious during a long rest, though you must still refrain from strenuous activity to gain the benefit of the rest. That's why it's worded that way, because it's based off the praying mantis. Interesting. Man, you learn a lot when you have to start looking at design, don't you? Well, if it's, I think that's what they have. I think it is I think it is praying mantis that they've based it off. I think you're right. It's probably more praying mantis than it is ant. I can see why they have structured it that way. So that means that you can still keep a sentry duty. You could do the whole sentry duty if you liked, as long as you don't move around. You can complete sentry duty. You can complete sentry duty for 8 hours and still benefit from the long rest. Okay. Resting eyes. Maybe it is. I need to take a lozenge in. So the next thing that we need to deal with is its vision. And I feel like vision for insects or praying mantis is not as simple as you have dark vision. I think that's way too simplified. Chameleon carpus, dark vision, secondary arms, sleepless, telepathy, which is fine. I'm actually happy with all of those, really. So it's really just about just tinkering with this dark vision and getting the secondary arms figured out. Okay. So let's see if we can. Let's deal with the vision first. What do you got here? My dad was always resting his eyes when watching his boring shows. He always knew if you change the channel. I'm resting my eyes, but I know what's going on around me. Okay, so let's deal with how do insects see. I think it's going to be more how does the praying mantis see? Does the praying mantis literally just have dark vision and that's it? Does it just see in the dark and nothing else? Reproduction. So a lot of insects have have compound eyes, for example. Compound eyes in their head is positioned in such a way that their eyes are on the side of their head so that they can see all around them for danger. And I feel like the praying mantis is still like that. So let's go here. Can insects see in the dark? Okay. Despite having tiny eyes and small brains, nocturnal insects have remarkable visible abilities in dim light, performing sophisticated visual behaviors when the photoreceptors each absorb only a weak trickle of photons. So, can they see in complete darkness? That's the question. Some can, or at least some can see in light levels too low for people. So, however, many insects rely more on smell or touch to travel their sight. Quite a few are pretty much blind, like ants, Okay, so it's really now down to if we're basing it off this, they could go either way. Does a praying mantis see in the dark? If it's a praying mantis that we're dealing with, can a praying mantis see in the dark? Let's do this. At night, praying mantises adapt their eyes for night vision by moving the reflective pigment cells away from the surface of their compound eyes. Interesting. This allows in more light for night vision. Still, they look for food primarily during the day. Their night vision may assist in their flying, Okay, so they do have night vision. That is interesting. The question is, does it need to be 60 feet? Or can I make it 30 feet? Is it really... Okay, let's see it. Secondary, the discovery of questions previously acknowledged the visible brainers, while the structure of the eye clearly indicates that they have evolved to prey in daylight. Study male species provide an excellent hunting in night. Okay. Do they have good vision? In terms of eyesight, both praying mantises and grasshoppers have excellent eyesight, but praying mantises have a unique ability to see in 3D, which gives them a distinct advantage in hunting and capturing prey. Interesting. That's okay. Learning a lot. Are they active at night? They may not be. Can they hear you? As they hunt, relies heavily on vision. Mantises are primarily diurnal. Many species have a fly at night and may be attracted to artificial light. Okay, all right. What does it mean? So they do. And it seems like they are definitely set up. So this is really interesting. And I'm going to take this little bit here. I'm going to do this little bit here. So let's include a little bit of this, because I know my players are going to like. They like a little bit of flavour. They like a little bit of science in their stuff. At night, you adapt your eyes for night vision by moving the reflective pigment cells away from the surface of the your compound eyes. Compound eyes. This is what I'm going to put in here. At night, you adapt your eyes for night vision by moving the reflective pigment cells away from the surface of your compound eyes. You can see in dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it was dim light. Bright light, okay. You discern colors in darkness only as shades. So do they see in color? Can a praying mantis see color at night? Can see color at night in the dark? Right, well, that's interesting. Okay, so here, praying mantis can see in the dark as their eyes contain a pigment that gets activated after getting exposed to low light conditions, allowing them to see through darkness for at least 1 or 2 inches. It's not that far. I mean, we are dealing with something here that is a little different, right? So I'm tempted to trim down the distance a little bit, but also expand on something a little bit too. Exposed to low light conditions, allowing them to see in the dark. They are the only insect that can see in 3D and perceive depth due to thousands of and ability to twist their head 180 degrees. Their eyes are also positioned on the sides of their head, which makes it easier for them to see around anyway. Two compound eyes on their head, allowing these eyes to see correctly in daylight or even in night. They contain thousands. Yes, okay, that's fine. Doesn't answer the question. 3D is one thing, but do they see in color? It doesn't seem like they do, but you can look in the darkness. You can look for prey in dark environments because their eyes contain a unique pigment that activates at night. The low light conditions can also activate this pigment and make them able to see through it. Needs around, okay, so about 30 to 35 minutes of exposure before it comes into play. We don't want to try to duplicate that sort of stuff. That's just too much. Their eyes also change color and turn black, but they appear normal when their insects get exposed to light. Okay, in addition, particularly nerve systems and eyes and lobes, brain involved receiving visuals, interpreting information. They don't seem to be doing a color thing. They don't seem to be doing the color vision thing here. But I think we need to include a different aspect to this that needs to be considered, and that is the fact that they can see in 360 degrees. I think that's an aspect that I would like to have. Yeah, let's just do that. So let's go here. Can't discern color. Let's go here with what else was the other thing? Compound eyes. Compound vision. Let's put that. And I'm probably going to shorten the distance a little bit. I'm going to trim that down. Yeah, 360 degrees. Yeah, that's kind of where my head is at with this. Due to your compound eyes being positioned, on the side of your head, you can see dun dun dun, you can see in a 360 degree, oh come on, degree arc. There is something else I want to add here, and I don't know how people feel about this, but I was always under the assumption that the vision of an insect, particularly if we're dealing with praying mantis, is a little bit better. Is just a tiny bit more improved. Shy, what do you got here? Fred, what do you got here? You guys got a lot of interesting ideas throwing up here. I think making them colorblind would be appropriate. Yes, and I think that's probably right. You can't discern color in darkness or bright light. Only shades of grey. And I think that's fine. So we're actually restricting the kind of vision they get, but there's something else I want to do here. Praying mantis have 16 photoreceptors. Yeah. Compared to humans who have 3. What sort of photoreceptors do they have? Because if they have cones, they can see colour. What type of photoreceptors do praying mantis have? Let's have a look. What type of photoreceptors do praying mantis have? Let's see. That's just type of vision. 3D, stereo vision, different views of each eye, able to, yes. Are praying mantis colorblind? That's a good question. Luckily, praying mantis are darn good at seeing movement and reacting quickly to it. As any fly could attest, says, okay, epidermalist, yes, the University of Arizona, praying mantis picture, can't see colours. Okay, all right, so that's where they can't see colour. So that we're actually on the right track. Oh, I'm so happy. I was wondering about that. I really was. It was not obvious. So they have a lot of photoreceptors, but they're not able to see colour. This is the other thing that I want to do. Okay? I know I made the dark vision shorter, but this is another aspect of their vision that I think needs to come into play. Because I'd always assumed that the THRI-KREEN should have a fairly good visual system. This is one of those times where I want to give them that. So, you have more photoreceptors than most species, allowing you to detect movement and changes in the environment. Effectively. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. You have Now, I said I was not going to do skills. One of the skills that I do consider something to build into a species or a race is perception. I think that is very much a biological skill. And that's probably the only one that I can think of that really should be potentially for some of the species. And in this case, I feel like this is the one. This is the one. You have proficiency and perception bracket wisdom checks to see now, praying mantis have a lot of other senses too, but we're dealing with compound vision, aren't we? You have proficiency in with perception, wisdom checks to see anything. Okay. I'm not giving them advantage, but I'm giving them proficiency. I think that's better. 360-degree arc, proficiency in perception checks, night vision up to 30 feet. I think that's about right. Okay, so last feature here that needs to be sorted out, and this one is hard. When I think about like how do you set up secondary arms without creating a whole lot of additional problems for a game master and players to adjudicate and figure out how to deal with, and to do so without getting like overly complicated and confusing, it's pretty difficult. I mean, look at compound eyes. Like I've just added in. I mean, to be fair, it would be shorter. I mean, short is not always the best way. It's simple enough to adjudicate. Okay, we know what we're dealing with here. It's not that hard to adjudicate. It's a simple process. But I've also added in a lot of fluff, primarily because I know my players are going to ask about that sort of stuff. And there are a lot of these features they're probably going to expect me to do that as well. But I'm trying to just get the mechanical side of things down for now. But yeah, there's a lot of problems with it, isn't there? Let's see. I don't think Monsters of the Multiverse has THRI-KREEN in it, if I remember right. It might be left out. Yeah, it has Tabaxi, Tortle, Triton, Yuanti. Nothing on THRI-KREEN. And then I don't believe you get THRI-KREEN in Eberron. So there's not an awful lot of places to look for this stuff. This is the problem. Your WARFORGED, there's no THRI-KREEN. I checked Volo's Guide to Monsters, so you don't have them there. It's just the Astral Adventurer's Guide, which is like the only resource, which will probably be exactly the same as it already is. So here's the question I have for you. What problems do you see with the THRI-KREEN secondary arms feature? I think some of you have already started to post some ideas here, but yeah. The secondary arms seems pretty well defined to me. They say what they can do. Yep, secondary arms are useful for holding items being worked on, not for combat mechanics. Needs to say whether they can be used to reload weapons with the reload property. It does suggest that you can carry, I mean, they do suggest that you can use light weapons with them. But it doesn't state, like, how many light weapons can you now carry? Do you mean this changes everything? If you have 4 arms, okay, you have 2 slightly smaller secondary arms below your primary pair of arms. So you've got 4 arms. The secondary arms can manipulate an object, open or close a door or container, pick up or set down a tiny object, or wield a weapon that has the light property. Okay. Okay, this is, yeah. It needs something about reloading. It needs to say whether they can be used to reload weapons with the reload property. Okay, I would agree. It probably does. It probably does. You can make. Now, here's the problem with secondary arms that comes into play every single time. And that is, if you can use those arms to attack with, this is where I see the problem being. Does that mean you can carry 2 light weapons with your secondary arms, which means that, does that mean that during your turn you're going to be making 2 attacks, and then your primary arms, you might have your main weapon and then another light weapon. If you have 2 light weapons in your primary hands, then that means you get 2 weapon attack fighting, and then so that means 4 attacks from light weapons. Is that potentially what we're looking at? And I think that's the concept potentially that we're looking at dealing with. But that makes it significantly better than any playable race when it comes to two-weapon fighting and the light weapon property. Because then it begs the question, when you go two-weapon fighting, you're not really two-weapon fighting, you're quadruple fighting, aren't you? Yeah, and I think this is the problem in this, that maybe having the ability to wield a light weapon with the light weapon property in there is probably a bad thing. Reloading, not so bad. Fred said it. Yeah. So I think that's the bit that needs to come out. It's always the problem, right? Because there'll be the argument between game master and player. Well, am I making, if I have 4 light weapons, am I making 2 attacks, or do I get 4 attacks on my turn at level 1? And I think what we probably need to do is make the secondary arms incapable of dealing with that kind of complexity, that kind of movement, so that they're not really functioning like that. There's always room for a game master to include that, but I think that's where the biggest problem lies. Okay, Derp and Fred, I think I understand what you're saying here. So let's make this, let's make an adjustment here. So this is definitely a nerf. Actually, before I do that, I want to just check this book, Astral Adventurer's Guide. I think it's going to be exactly the same. I think that's coming directly from there. THRI-KREEN 15 and secondary arms. Yeah. So it's identical. So I'm really looking at the same thing. I'm just wondering, D&D 4e might have had the THRI-KREEN in the, or did it? Dark Sun. THRI-KREEN is Dark Sun. Really? I've got Dark Sun books, don't I? I do have Dark Sun books. So maybe I can do that way. Okay. Give me just a second. Just a second. The arms seem to allow shield plus dual wielding. Is that a problem? I guess, yeah, I guess that's the question. Is that going to be the problem? The secondary arm can manipulate an object, open a door, or do you know where I think this is? You know where I think this is probably let's come down to the fact that we can shift the secondary arms. Instead of wielding a light weapon with a light weapon property, that's going to leave that for the primary arms. They can wield they can wield a shield, or they can hold a shield. The primary weapons hold the shield. One of them does, not both. I think that might work a little bit better. Okay, well, let me just have a look. I'm just thinking about that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's over here. Okay, so Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook. I'll grab that. And then, where is this? Dark Sun, where are you? Okay, Dark Sun campaign book for 4E should be in there as well. And then, I've got the creature book as well. So let's have a look and see how that kind of works. I'm pretty sure all the stuff we need to have. So main arm, rapier, shield, secondary arms, short sword plus free. Yeah. I think what we do is we eliminate or hold a shield. Okay, so here we go. The secondary arms can manipulate an object, open or close a door or container, pick up or set down a tiny object. So it's obviously designed for doing very simple things. Or hold a shield. You cannot, come on, you cannot make attacks with the secondary arms. Okay, so here we go. So the secondary arms can manipulate an object, open or close a door, container, pick up or set down a tiny object, or hold a shield, and hold a shield, and okay, so did it hold a shield or reload a weapon? Let us include reloading and holding a shield. I think that's probably the best way to deal with that for the secondary arms. Eliminate the secondary arms as an opportunity to make attacks. I know that's not going to be very popular, but I think my players are probably going to be quite happy with that. I think they'll like, that makes sense, because if it had my choice and I could use secondary arms and the THRI-KREEN was an option. You know, even I don't think any of my players have really ever wanted to play a THRI-KREEN, even if... Oh, have we ever made it an option? Not really. I mean, usually I'm open to them playing any race. It's just not any subclass. It's not every single class. I mean, I'm not really into using the Artificer unless we're in Eberron. That's just me. No, nobody's ever gone to the THRI-KREEN, even though potentially it could do quite a bit. Anyway. Is it okay with dual wielder and two weapon fighting style to have a shield? Well, that's a good question. Do I have to answer that question in this ability? Does two weapon fighting preclude? Does two weapon fighting actually preclude having a shield if you've got an arm to hold that shield? Hello, Negative Space. How are you doing? It's a good question. I've never been interested in the THRI-KREEN, honestly, and neither of my players, actually. The WARFORGED didn't interest me for a long time until I learned more about the WARFORGED lore in Eberron. I would probably still change. Do you know, my group are going to change it to the Mechanoid. It's not going to be called WARFORGED. And we made a few changes to the WARFORGED, or Mechanoid, should I say. THRI-KREEN. Here we go. Here's the monster book. Here's the Dark Sun. It's not, I know it's 4E people, but this is the THRI-KREEN. What is the THRI-KREEN? How's it set up? 96. This is the monster, not the playable race. 96. Okay, THRI-KREEN. So how do they operate? So they are based off the praying mantis. I can see a reference to it already. Okay. So standard action, claw, traits, Jakarta, no. So they really don't suggest that the secondary arms are able to do very much at all from this stat block. The THRI-KREEN really don't do very much at all. So that's an interesting development. I wasn't aware of that, but now I am. The campaign book, I don't know if there's playable races in this. I don't know if they would list them. It would be good if they did. Oh, here we go. They do. So THRI-KREEN, is it there? Other races. They've got tiefling, human, halfling, half-elf, which are totally different. It'll be under other races, won't it? THRI-KREEN predator, racial okay, so that's 30. Let's try 30. Let's see what this is going to say. 30, 30, 30, 30, 30 other races. They've got no. They don't really make it as a playable thing in this book. How do they work here? No. And when you see the THRI-KREEN, they never seem to be wielding weapons in their secondary arms. I don't think they were ever really intended to be used for that or like that. So I think we're right. Try the player's handbook for it. I don't believe it's in here. I think it's Dragonborn and Eladrin. I don't think it's THRI-KREEN. No, I didn't think so. Okay, so that's that one. And then what does 5e say about wielding a shield, holding a shield, and using a two-weapon fighting? I'm not really terribly concerned about it myself, but I'm kind of wondering now. Let's have a look. Two-weapon fighting. It's in the fighting combat section. Oh, yeah. A lot of flipping through, back and forth. I do feel like we've kind of nailed down that feature myself, but let's just make sure there's no holes that we haven't taken into, considered. There's always possibility of having a hole there, right? So that's death saving throws. That's no. I want 2 weapon fighting. Here, 2 weapon fighting, page 195. What does it say? Do I have some water left? And yes, I know I need to get my my butt finished because I'm supposed to be in a live stream very shortly. When you take the attack action and attack with a light melee weapon you are holding in one hand, you can use a bonus action to attack with a different light melee weapon that you're holding in the other hand. You don't add your ability modifier to the damage of the bonus attack unless that modifier is negative. Okay. If either weapon has the thrown property, you can throw the weapon instead of... Okay. So what I will do to alleviate the problem, because I think what you've done, Derp, is you've brought up the fact that the people are going to want to have 2 light weapons in their primary hands and then also have a shield. Let's have that. Let's make that a doable thing. The shield bonus is what, +2? +2 is a huge bonus in armor class for a bound accuracy system, but they also have this this armor class thing going on. So this is a good question. I think what's going to I think what will wind up happening here is my players will point out very quickly if there's a problem. So even if I write it in, I'm honestly not too sure. I'm just thinking an extra +2 to your armor class because you've got a shield and you're doing 2 attacks and each attack is probably doing about 1d6 plus whatever your strength modifier is. So yeah, I'm a little unsure about how to approach that myself. But it's definitely a question that's going to come up, isn't it? That's always a question. So let's write in a definitive, and then I'll see if my players say, nah, there's a problem here, Fred. You have not considered this, and this is the reason. So you have 2 slightly smaller secondary arms below your primary arm, below your primary pair of arms. The secondary arms can manipulate an object, open or close a door, open or close a door or container, pick up or set down a tiny object. Why is it a big T? I don't know. Big T, tiny object. Hold a shield or reload a weapon. You cannot make attacks with the secondary arms. But you arms your primary arms can be used your primary arms can employ 2 weapon fighting while one not 2, one secondary arm holds a shield at the same time. Okay, because you're really not going to, just because if you think you're going to really benefit from having 2 shields on at the same time, you really won't. Because you still need to be able to look. If you've ever been in a fight with a shield and a sword, which I have, you need to maneuver and shift the change position of the shield. And it really isn't helpful to have 2 shields in place. It really isn't. It doesn't work that way. Okay, shields. If you want a really good shield, you have a bigger shield. If you want that's harder to move around, but less movement required because you're covering more of the body. Otherwise, you have a lighter shield, easier to move around, but there's less of it that you can actually use as protection. So yeah, I think that's probably the best way. Shields used on secondary arms can only defend versus the front. I don't know if we need to necessarily say that. Do we need to say that? Your primary arms can employ 2 weapon fighting while 1 secondary arm holds a shield at the same time. I think that's it. I think that's got it. And we never nailed down abilities. So we never really nailed down what is an insect's stand out ability score. Is it constitution, intelligence, strength? I don't think it's anything. I think praying mantis. They are very, very quick. But I don't think there's anything that sort of necessarily has stood out over the years that said this is the thing you should try to increase. I just don't know. Yeah, I'm actually of the opinion just leave this alone. Just stick it where you need it to go. I'm not really too sure that it needs to go anywhere. I don't think we need to have that entry point there at all. So yes, okay, so we've done THRI-KREEN. Let me just go through and show you very quickly the WARFORGED or Mechanoid. So Mechanoid WARFORGED, this is what we've got. It's a construct, ability score increases. So you get to choose, you increase one of your ability scores by 2 and then increase a different one by 1. Otherwise, you can increase 3 different ability scores by 1. And one of those increases needs to be constitution, intelligence, or strength. You decide. Doesn't really matter. Age, not really worried about it. Alignment, don't care. Size, you pick. Size is medium. Speed is pretty standard. Self-repair is probably the only thing that we've kind of put in here. You're a construct and you don't benefit from normal healing spells. The self-repair function works during a short or long rest. If the mending spell is cast on you, you can spend a hit die, roll it, and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your constitution modifier, minimum of 1. So we've got that. So if you want to use spells to get back hit points, you're using mending and you're using up your hit die. So it's kind of going to be it's not as good as some of the other races or species, eh? Construct, you get resilience, constitution saving throws, and saving throws to resist poison. I think we've got that there. Make it a full stop. You've got resistance to poison damage. You don't need to eat, drink, or breathe with the WARFORGED. You're immune to disease. You don't need to sleep, and magic can't put you asleep. You've got Century's Rest, which we've kind of defined. It's all right. It's fine the way it is. Integrated protection. Your body has built-in defenses. I don't really like the way this is worded, but I don't know what to do with it at present time. This bit here I don't mind about. This is not an issue, really. That +1 bonus to armor class, it's not an issue. So yes. Okay, next, specialized design. So you can basically have 2 tool proficiencies and two toolkits built into your body, the left and right side. Okay, languages, you get to pick 4 languages. Away you go. THRI-KREEN, we've decided that you put them where you want. You put your ability score increases where you want. It's up to you. No sort of specification. You're a monstrosity. You can pick medium or small. Speed is 30 feet. Chameleon Carpus. So your armor class is 13 plus your dexterity modifier or your constitution modifier, whichever is higher. As a free action, you can change color and texture to your surroundings, okay, giving you advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide in those surroundings. I still think it's probably more useful to you outside of combat than during combat myself, because hiding in combat's really kind of a waste of time if you ask me. Compound vision, you have 360 degree arc. You can see in the 300. Yes, photoreceptors are good at detecting movement, so you're going to get proficiency with perception or wisdom checks to see anything. At night, you have dark vision up to 30 feet. It's not as long as it was before. It's a bit different. Your secondary arms, pretty much the same, but your secondary arms cannot make an attack with a light weapon. Instead, it holds a shield or can reload a weapon. And you can use 2 weapon fighting with your primary 2 primary arms, and one of your secondary arms can hold a shield, but not 2. Sleepless, you don't sleep, but you are conscious, but you do need to be inactive, no strenuous activity. You've basically got telepathy, and that's it. We've got it pretty much nailed down. I think that's not too bad. Next time we come back, we're going to do the plasmoid. I don't know what I'm supposed to call the plasmoid, but we'll get there. The THRI-KREEN, my group, are going to call it the insectoid because it's not copyright. Plasmoid, we'll do plasmoid, and we'll do, I think we're going to wind up doing turtle, but I think it might be for the fairy. I might do the fairy instead. I might wind up doing the plasmoid and the fairy, because I know there's a few people in my group who would like to play an ooze, and I don't want to keep that off the cards. It's sort of we're kind of doing the big general widely encompassing concepts that you might want to play around with right now. So yeah, that's where my head is at with that. I am well over time. I should be on my bike and getting ready for the next thing that I need to do. I will, of course, drop it into the link, into here in a second. Just give me a second and I will do that. The secondary arms could only be used if the primary arms get cut off. That sounds like a good use for me. That sounds horrific for players to deal with, but I'm going to leave that for the game master to deal with. I don't need to put that into there. I suppose it could certainly work that way, but I don't think I need to write it in. I was thinking maybe one idea for my world is if a Warforged ate enough of a certain material that is stronger than what they already have, the armor class would go up. Well, yeah, and I think that's like, do that, try it out. I just don't know how to incorporate that into a species or race option for players as a concept. It would just make it a little bit complicated. I think that needs to be, that's very world specific, that concept. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Right, end this poll. So in the poll I asked, do you think the Warforged needs fixing for Dungeons & Dragons 5e? And you said yes. 47% said yes out of 21 votes. Well, that's interesting. Almost 50% said yes. Did we fix the things that needed to be fixed? I mean, that's the question. Those of you who watch this, did we fix the things the Warforged needed fixing? I don't know. Undecided 28%, no 14%, just watching 9%. Okay, interesting. So, we're done for today, but that's just for this part of the world that I'm dealing with. I will be, as I said, very shortly in a live stream playing a basic Beck Me Dungeons & Dragons game. Wally has got something cooked up for us. I don't want to tell you what it is, but it's really quite clever. Back to Mystara, as he's just changed the title. Is it Back to Mystara? It's not even Back to Mystara. Does anybody remember the original cartoon? I believe he was hinting at overtures to that, for those of you who are interested. There is a link here down in the description, in the chat, if you want to go and check it out. You're welcome to do so. I don't know how that's going to work for a lot of you. You may or may not like that idea. I don't know. But if you do, great. If you don't, you don't. I understand. That's cool. So I'll stick that there. And I suppose I should make sure that that I've got you guys transferring over to that when I finish this live stream. I don't know if I can do that in the middle of a live stream. Can I? I possibly can. I believe there is the option to customize and transfer over rather than to my next thing that I'm doing very shortly. We can transfer over and just send you over here, since that's where I'm going to be in about an hour, or less than an hour now. Less than an hour. That's where I'm going to be. Okay. All right. We're good. I think we're done. So, yeah. I'm going to get out of here. You guys are going to get on with what you need to get on with. Get some food into you. Relax, whatever you need to do. And then come and join us for some crazy stuff with my buddies. Okay? Anyway, thank you to all of my patrons who support me on Patreon. Without you, this just isn't possible. All this stuff will go up onto Patreon eventually. I just want to finish all of the races or species that I want to work on and put it into one document as a first draft. Okay, so it will go there eventually. Not just yet. We've got a couple more left to go. The other thing is that I want to thank everybody who took part in the poll. Thank you for taking part in the poll, for watching and listening. I know 2 hours is a long time, or more than 2 hours is a long time to be hanging out with me. Totally get it. Totally understand. But we did pretty well. I think we did a pretty good job of making some adjustments to it to make it a little bit more useful to us. I want to thank everybody who's been watching and listening, as I said. And wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, or the night, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.